Time to do a good old-fashioned Kamen Rider related Q&A, since everyone loves to ask me questions. First question I get a lot of the time is Kamen Rider one of the biggest, or is it the biggest cosmology out there? I would say yes, but that's because that's my area of expertise. You know, if you ask someone who is very, very, in depth with the DC scaling, they would probably say that DC is the best, or Marvel, or any really, really large, cosmology. Another question I get asked a lot is, how do I know so much about Kamen Rider? It's simple. I watch and I read. I read the novels, I watch the shows, I watch the movies, I look through the encyclopedias, I look through every single source I can until I get all the information I need to make an educated opinion on something. I will not post something unless I am sure that I am correct and that I can back up my statement. Another question I get asked a lot is, what are my pet peeves? I'd say probably just being requested only to scale Kamen Rider. If you look at my stuff related to DC or Marvel, I make so many trolling videos related to them because the DC and Marvel community know how to actually have fun. I feel like I can't really do that with my Kamen Rider community. All they do is care about scaling. And literally, all it takes is for someone just to scale on their own. I don't think people realize this, but scaling is completely interpretive. And also, I have all of my scales all over the place. You can literally just use my stuff for reference and then scale on your own. But no one ever tries to do that, and they keep relying on me. I find that a bit annoying. Don't get me wrong, I think I'm correct because I give myself the credit of, doing all the research and whatnot. But I still feel like asking someone to interpret an interpretive thing for you is kind of redundant, no? I feel like you should be able to see mine, maybe agree if you think the evidence leans towards that, but also not be afraid of scaling on your own. Because, at the end of the day, once again, it's all about how you interpret stuff. People always ask me, what are my top 10 toku talkers? And I wouldn't know. I don't really consider myself part of the tokusatsu space. I'm kind of my own weird corner of it. I don't even really consider myself a toku talker in the general sense because my main form of content's actually top 10s. And although I post about tokusatsu, I do that because I just can. But also, at the same time, though, if you look far enough in my account, I used to do the same thing with DC, but, it's just a thing where I flip-flop between what my main focus is, because that's just what I do. Will I make a Discord? No, and no. Listen, as much as I love my community, there's a lot of people who ask me really, really bad questions. And also, you guys treat me like an answer machine. You guys don't even care of what I actually want to talk about. I can talk about something completely unrelated to Kamen Rider, and someone will find a way to try asking me Kamen Rider related scaling questions. If I made a Discord server, it would just be a bunch of people constantly doing that non-stop, and I would literally try kicking everyone out, and no one would like me. I don't know. I prefer not to do that. If I was to do that, there would not be a tokusatsu section. Because not only are most tokusatsu fans really toxic, but also just, man, sometimes you guys are a mess to deal with. But I don't know. If you feel like you're not part of the problem, you're most likely not. But there are definitely some of you, and you know who you are, who are definitely a handful. All right, next question. All right, I'm looking off of a literal list here, so give me a second. Who was the first writer I watched, and what year or when did I start watching Kamen Rider? I started really young. I was watching it when it was airing. I'm probably one of the few people in the community that really tries watching it on my TV. I started with fours. I started really young. I think I started watching it when I was 5. I was born the year of Deado. Not that anyone cares, but yeah, I started with 4. I think I started watching all of them, obviously because I was watching them while they were airing, and I think that once I started to start using stuff like Tokuzilla is when I really started to finally watch the stuff that came out before I was born, because obviously I wouldn't have access to that, or at least before I was able to watch Kamen Rider. But yeah, no, so I started around probably 2011. it had to be like 2011. The next question is unironically, would you consider yourself the smartest tokusatsu scaler? No, I would say that, like, I feel like there's a difference for being smart and being thorough. I feel like there's no such thing as a dumb person, but there's a such thing as a person who isn't thorough or informed. And I feel like I have just as much access to Kamen Rider material as everyone else does. It's just that some people choose not to look deeper than surface level to find out information. I'm not the best tokusatsu scaler because I am like smarter than you guys. I'm just more thorough. I spend more time looking for information. That is literally it. I promise you, any of you could recreate what I've researched and what I've scaled and what I've done if you just spend as much time doing what I do as I do. And I mean, that's really it. None of you guys are dumb because you don't know how to scale. All right, it's not like you need to be an intellectual to scale. I mean, there's been some real stupid people in the scaling community in general. Someone asked why I'm so mean. I'm kind of surprised by that, but sure, I'll answer that. The reason I don't consider myself mean. I think that I could be dismissive. I mean, I don't make it a secret that I like people depending on certain factors, and I can like people more or less. Listen, I respect everyone, but I do not need to like everyone. There are people who try too hard to get on my good side by asking me a billion questions that they know I don't want to answer. And by response, I just don't answer, or I answer very dully because at some point I stop caring because they don't even care about what they're asking me. They're just kind of throwing stuff at me. So, I mean, I don't consider myself mean, but if you consider me mean, I don't know what to tell you, dude. To each their own, I guess. Anyways, that's all the questions I'm willing to answer, and no, I will not be answering questions if you put them inside of the comments, because I guarantee you they're going to be scaling related, and no, I do not take scaling requests. Do not ask. So, that is it. Have a nice day. Bye. I love you all. Bye.